pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now be moving on to roll call. President Fish. Here. Vice President Fees is here. Secretary Wadsworth. Chief Justice Tabor. He's here. He's coming. Director Rossi. Here. Director Reynolds is not here. Director Tanner is not here. Director Nolan is not here. Senator DeHaab. Senator Rogers. Senator Walicki. Senator Self. Senator Gunter. Senator Yella. Senator Totino. Senator Rosamilia. Pro Temp Schnorr. Our advisor is here. CFB. Wildcat Media. The Factory Times is not here. Web is here. Okay. Wildcat Esports. Our SAC rep is not here. And our Res Life rep is not here. We will now be moving on to the approval of minutes and agenda. Does anybody have any discussion? Our audience member.
A motion to add a bill to the agenda.
Is that an entertained or?
Yes, I would like to entertain a motion, as I said, to add a bill to the agenda.
Do I have a so moved? So moved by Senator Rosamilia. Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Rogers. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
I will be emailing that to Secretary Wadsworth.
Do we have any discussion on the motion? I will wait until everybody's received the bill to move on to voting for said motion. Or should I? I hate when it does that.
Just refresh again.
Mm-hmm. Do all of you have the bill, or is it?
I have it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying.
CFB.
May I ask, while we're waiting for that to be said, if our audience member could explain what the bill that they are introducing is?
Our audience member.
The bill that is being brought back to the table this week is the org creation bill for Wildcat Motorsports with additional attachments that were not included in the first bill.
We're still waiting.
Is it okay if I just forward it?
Yep, you can forward it.
Can anybody connect? Does everybody have access to their email though?
Yes. Okay.
So is it just something with the website that's going on?
Email. I just sent it to Bailey because I don't have.
Bailey, do you want me to log into your account on my email? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go through reports while we're waiting for this. Our president. Oh, can we move on? Reports.
I sent it to you. Can you send it to me?
Okay.
Give us just a moment while I finish out these technical difficulties. What? I was told I would give us just a moment while we figure out these technical difficulties, please. Because we're still in a motion, and I don't want to confuse people. Hold on.
Oh, there you go. Boom. Yay. Everyone should have it now. I just sent it.
If you do not have it, now is your time to speak up. Does everybody have it now? This should be the motorsports bill. Yes? Okay, do we have any discussion on adding this? Oh, this does not. Okay. Do we have it? Okay. Seeing as everybody has the motorsports bill now, we will now be moving on to discussion of adding this to the agenda. Does anybody have any discussion? Seeing none, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to adding this to the agenda? Seeing none, this passes 8-0-1. Alrighty, we will now be moving on to the approval of minutes and agenda. Our audience member.
I'd like to entertain a motion to introduce strike 2223 resolution 2223-XX to the end of new business.
Do we have a so moved? So moved by Senator Rosamelia. Do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Rogers. Do we have any discussion for adding this resolution to the table? Our president.
Can I entertain a motion to move it to the beginning of old business?
Do I have a so moved? So moved by Senator Yella. Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Rosamelia. You said the beginning of.
Old business. So the first thing, right?
Okay. Do I have any discussion on modifying the motion, the original motion of adding it to beginning of old business? Senator Self.
I'm going to ask for
Senator
it.
President Fish.
I'm going to ask for it to be passed through unanimous consent.
Do we have any further discussion? Our audience member.
Could President Fish please repeat what he just said?
So
We can't hear him back here.
I plan to move it. I'm going to plan to ask for it to be passed through unanimous consent.
Do we have any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to the motion? This is to modify the original motion. Seeing none, this passes 9-0-0. We'll now be moving back into discussion of the original motion. This is to add resolution 2223-XX to the agenda. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, this passes 9-0-0. Back into discussion of the minutes and agenda. Seeing no opposition, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to the minutes and agenda? These minutes pass 9-0-0. We will now be moving on to executive reports. President Fish.
Good afternoon. So obviously as the semester comes to an end, there's not much to report on. We're continuing training and trying to work with Engage to try to get the admin privileges handed over to the right people. Other than that, I yield.
Senator Rogers. Alrighty, moving on to the Vice President report. I have no report today. We will now be moving on to the Secretary.
No report.
Moving on to the Chief Justice.
No report.
Moving on to our College Counsel. Our Director of Public Relations. Our Director of Community Outreach.
I have nothing new to report. Just want to once again thank everyone who helped me in any way this semester from the bottom of my heart. I had a very productive semester, and I'm very happy and very pleased with the great things we did in Utica. Thank you.
Alrighty, moving on to our Director of Wellness and Inclusion. Did anybody receive a report for that? That'll be no report. Our advisor.
Just a reminder about tickets for banquet. If you still would like to attend and thought it was too late, we have 10 tickets remaining. Please come and celebrate and have a good time dueling pianos. We'll kick off our event tomorrow night, then the banquet itself. So again, we have 10 tickets left. The CSI office will be closed for most of tomorrow due to setup of the banquet. So if you want those tickets, that'd be great to get today, or let us know that you are going to take one of those 10 remaining tickets so we can do that. Obviously, I don't see web present, so I'm going to make the report now about Carnival Day on Saturday, 11 to 4. Again, please come out in the support. And my final plea is for seniors to complete the registration form for your 2 senior events. We have a really awesome event next week on the 26th from 3 to 8 that your families are welcome to attend as well. And we also have your big champagne toast on the May 5th. We will only be able to provide seats for those who register due to restrictions with the liquor license. I yield.
Alrighty, moving on to committee reports, academic affairs and technology.
Greetings, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great week thus far. The committee had its last meeting today and talked about the meeting with the provost and any final concerns for Brightspace. I will be asking Rick also if he can include a hyperlink to engage on the main screen of Brightspace. I will also be asking about having an organization that is centered for the student government, so all students on campus can have access to go look at what's on the floor of the Senate and see what's going on for committees, and have a hot link to be able to contact committee heads if they have any concerns. And if anyone wants to attend a possible workshop, I have a survey going around currently, not SGU related. It's related to the Brightspace transitions team. We're looking to see what time works best for any students to attend it. Feel free, if you want to email me to get the link or the QR code, I will share it greatly with you at selph@sunypoly.edu. Have a great rest of your week.
We will now be moving on to budget committee.
No report.
Class gift.
Holy cow, guys, there's something on the agenda with our name on it. If this goes through, that'd be really cool. We'll just talk about making a transition thing next week, which will be, tomorrow, which will be 2:30 in the SGU lounge, as I've said quite a few times. I yield.
Game room committee. DEI and wellness. We will now be moving on to food.
Report.
Moving on to policy, there is no report. Safety and facilities.
We have a meeting today at 2:30 in the SGU conference room. Please attend if you would like. We will be working on transition documents and any other concerns brought forward.
Web. No report. CFB.
No report.
Wildcat Media.
No report.
The Factory Times has no report. Wildcat Esports.
Forgot to put this in the report thing, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our Rocket League team. They beat out Stony Brook in the semifinals of the SUNY Esports playoffs. So they'll be headed to Brooklyn to go against U Buffalo in the finals to see who gets first place. No, thank you.
Alrighty. We will now be moving on to old business. Senate Resolution 2223-XX, Pro Temp Schnorr. This is the one that was motioned in. No. Yes, no, you're good. I'm sorry.
Motion to accept Senate Resolution number 2223-XX.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Gunter. You may proceed.
We, the student government at SUNY Poly of Utica, sorry. We, the members of the student government at Utica, do hereby resolve: the purpose of this resolution is to issue a strike to President Fish for continued unprofessionalism and not abiding by Senate rules during the Senate meetings. Whereas President Fish has been acting with continued unprofessionalism during the Senate meetings towards the members of the audience, and whereas per Appendix M of the Policies and Procedures, there are no regulations on time or numbers of times an audience member may speak during a meeting, and whereas per Article 21.9.0, at all times, members of the student government at Utica are expected to uphold the highest standards of integrity and professionalism. The student body puts their trust in the student government at Utica to represent them, and as such, it is considered a positive role model in these regards. And whereas per Article 21.2.0, all members are expected to uphold the standards contained herein and correct others who are in violation of these, and whereas per Article 16.3.1, The Senate reserves the right to hand out a strike to an SGU Executive Board member in the form of a resolution addressed to the SGU Executive Board upon a passage with a 2/3 majority vote. Therefore, being enacted, the Student Government at Utica Senate considers and issues a strike to President Jay Fish. Therefore, be it resolved, President Jay Fish will be issued a strike by the Student Government at Utica Senate.
Do we have any discussion on this? Our audience member.
So I just wanted to answer some questions before they're asked. 'Cause I figured some questions are going to be asked. I know that when I was speaking to some people, they asked, why would you issue a strike so late in the semester? I think that, strikeable behavior should be struck regardless of when it is. And if President Fish was returning for the next year, it actually would roll over into the next year. It says that in the policies and procedures, if you get a strike after the election begins for in the spring semester, the strike rolls over. And I also think it's important to hold the members of SGU accountable. If you're going to ask why I didn't submit this for the agenda earlier this week, it was because I was hoping that the members of SGU would do something. It does say in the policies and procedures, it's cited in the bill that you're expected to uphold professionalism. If you see someone not being professional, you as a member of SGU are supposed to correct them and make sure that everyone is held to the same standards of professionalism. So if you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I yield.
Do we have any further discussion on this resolution? Our audience member.
I would also like to point out in the attachments of this bill, we did include a section of the president's contract, which states that the president will act in a professional, fair, and unbiased manner when dealing with any and all subject related to the student government at Utica, written, orally, or otherwise, which we have not seen in the past 2 weeks. I yield.
Do we have any further discussion? President Fish.
Pass it through unanimous consent.
Do I have a so moved? So moved by Senator Yella. Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator South. We have to vote on this, correct? Am I correct in saying that? I don't remember.
Yeah, through
Okay.
yeah. Then you go back into that.
Okay.
But you have discussion first.
Do we have any discussion on this motion? President Fish.
So I do plan on appealing it, and then by that time next week, it wouldn't really count. So I just decided to pass it through unanimous consent. So then we didn't waste any more time, and then we have to reintroduce it next week anyways. So.
Alrighty. Do we have any further discussion on the motion to approve through unanimous consent? Seeing none, does anybody oppose the motion? Seeing none, this passes 9-0-0. Do we go back into discussion of the resolution?
No, pass it unanimous consent.
Okay. Yep. Alrighty, this is passed via unanimous consent. We will now be moving on to new business, Senate Resolution number 2223-39. Senator DeHaab.